Let's move on to the other division we're talking about, the AFC East. Now, the biggest story out of day one of the draft was Laremy Tunsil slipping to number 13, the Dolphins. This was a guy who was considered at one point to be the number 1 overall pick. And the tackle from Ole Miss, he fell after that video was tweeted before the draft showing Tunsil smoking a bong with a gas mask. I'm sure the Dolphins didn't think they'd be drafting him that night, and he looked happy as ever to be, and a little relieved, actually, guys, when he was drafted 13th.
Anywhere they put me would be fine, man. If coach wanted me to play quarterback, coach wanted me to play receiver, tight end, hopefully tight end, but whatever he wants me to play, it'd be fine.
All right, MJD, he's extremely talented. This was an old video that we found out about. Did the Dolphins get an absolute steal here?
No question.
What?
I mean, how do you get the number 1 player on the board? You need help to protect your quarterback. He's sitting there for you at 13. Now, there was rumors out that if he wasn't there, they would have went Miles Jack. So they were kind of in a win-win situation. This young man here is going to help them wherever they put him on the offensive line. They will be better. He'll open the holes in the running game, and he'll keep their quarterback upright.
They had to have been shocked when the Titans didn't make it.
I was shocked.
I was too. All right, Miami.
Still shocked.
They've ranked outside the top 20 in total offense in 5 of the last 6 seasons. They took 6 offensive players with 8 picks. Ryan Tannehill and Adam Gase have to be happy with this class, Bucky.
Yeah, they should be happy with the class. If I'm a Miami's Dolphins fan, I'm really excited about what the offense could look like. Leonte Carew from Rutgers, Jakeem Grant being a guy that can really help you in the kicking game. I like that. But it's a young man there from UCLA, and I don't give UCLA guys a lot of credit. But Thomas Duarte is my sleeper. Kind of reminds me of what they had when Charles Clay was there, really putting it in work.
Okay, so what's your grade?
Oh, I'm going to give them an A- for their work. I think they did a great job of pulling talented players off the board throughout various stages of the draft. Laremy Tunsil is a godsend in terms of being right there at 13. Talking about a franchise caliber offensive tackle, a guy that it was number 2 on my board. To get him at 13, that's a steal. Credit to Mike Tannenbaum and Chris Greer for just having the courage to pull.
All right, let's stay in the division. We'll go to the Rex Ryan defense here. He boosted the defense in Buffalo, going with Shaq Lawson at number 19. Feels like a perfect fit, too, with him.
No question. I think they wanted pass rush. You get a guy that you can come in and mold into your system. We all saw how Rex was last year with his defense not playing well, not playing up to par, losing games because of his baby. You get this guy in there, you add immediate pass rush, helps your defense out.
All right, Buffalo went with Lawson in round 1 and then picked inside linebacker Reggie Ragland in round 2, Buck.
You're always looking for thump in the middle of your defense. This is a downhill headbanger, guy with terrific instincts and awareness, tackling machine. Not only that, he's a great communicator. In this defense, it's important to have a traffic cop. He brings everything that you look for in the position. You worry about him in coverage, but in terms of the run game, they'll be back to being one of the top teams against the run.
Yeah, last season, Rex Ryan has had the worst defense he ever had as a head coach, and he plugged a lot of those holes in this draft. The Bills also took a quarterback, though, in the 4th round, Ohio State's Cardale Jones. This was his reaction to the pick.
Oh, you got to love that. You got to love that. I've done that before, but I've only done that in clubs. I've never done that when I've heard my name called, but I'm okay with that. White beater, rip it off, excited. You like to see the young man excited.
White beater must have been from Target or something.
Did you react the same way?
No. I cried. And then after I cried, I went to McDonald's and got me a double cheeseburger because I needed to eat.
I'm sorry.
Eat my sorrows away.
That's awful. Well, look, I mean, when you look at Jones and the other defensive additions, plus they added the speedy receiver, Colby Listenby, how do you grade the Bills?
I give them an A. I thought they went after what they needed. They got some players on offense as well. You had Jonathan Williams, a guy that I was really high on coming out of Arkansas. I mean, I thought they really addressed what they needed to. Rex got his baby back the way he wants to. Maybe another year drafting and some more free agents, but it was a great start.
All right, meanwhile, Rex's old team, the Jets, also went with defense in the 1st round, taking Ohio State linebacker Darren Lee for Todd Bowles' defense. Bucky, this is a guy who's really worked hard to develop as a premier player.
He has really worked hard to develop as a premier player. You have to understand, he was an all-state cornerback in high school, made the transition from safety down to linebacker, put him in the box, and you're really getting a guy that is dynamic in every aspect of his game. There we see him coming off the edge, being able to blitz. I've seen him in coverage where he can lock up slot receivers. Being able to have a hybrid-type guy in the middle is what Todd Bowles wants to do because he's very creative in the way that he schemes and game plans teams. Darren Lee is the guy that he wants to really use in a variety of roles.
And Lee is the 8th straight defensive player New York has selected in the 1st round, including last year's pick, Leonard Williams, who I know they were shocked that they got him too last year. But they did sort of address the gaping hole that's at quarterback. They took Penn State's Christian Hackenberg in the second round, who had some issues at Penn State once Bill O'Brien was gone. MJD, what do you think of that?
Yeah, I think when you have those receivers on the outside and those playmakers around them, I think they feel like they'll make anyone better. I think this young man here needs to sit for a little bit, learn, understand how to throw the ball and how to read coverages.
Who's he going to be learning from?
He's going to have to learn from Chan Gailey.
Geno Smith?
No, it's going to be Chan Gailey.
He can learn. He can learn from any of those guys. But here's why you take the pick. Second round pick, you're looking for a guy that you can really develop into a starting quarterback. Big body, pocket passer, A+ arm talent. The thing that he has to work out, accuracy issues and his awareness. If he can develop those things, he has an opportunity to be a starter. Because remember, under Bill O'Brien, he looked like he was destined to be a top round pick, maybe the top pick in the draft. For whatever reason, it got sideways under James Franklin. I'm more willing to blame James Franklin and his staff for not necessarily putting him in a situation to succeed. We will find out in the pros if he can play up to his potential.
Well, Hackenberg just part of the Jets draft class. MJD, when you look at the rest of these guys here, who else stands out?
You know, it's tough. When those two guys are at the top of it, I think Jordan Jenkins is a great guy to come in and play. Other than that, there's just a lot of guys. It's just, I don't know. It's tough.
Yeah.
Keep an eye on Sharon Peake down at the bottom of that list. He is a guy that I pegged as a sleeper. We've seen Clemson produce a number of wide receivers like a Martavis Bryant, a guy that came out of nowhere to be a dominant player. Maybe Peake is the next one. Because of that, that's why I gave them a B-.
B-? Okay, that's fair.
B-.
So let's move on here. The Jets' division rival, the Patriots, they didn't have a first pick this year. We all know that because of Deflategate. So they started off the draft by selecting corner Cyrus Jones out of Alabama, who's a good return guy too, right, Buck?
The New England Patriots, one thing that is always consistent with their players, they are all two-phase guys, meaning that they're going to contribute in a variety of roles, meaning they can play on defense or offense, and they also are going to find a way to contribute in special teams. Cyrus Jones, to me, is a natural nickel corner. He has all the tools that you look for, the footwork, the instincts, the ball skills, but he may be even more impressive as a punt returner. They got a really, really good player in Cyrus Jones.
Yeah, it's a pretty balanced draft class for New England, 4 players on both sides of the ball. The team did take 2 offensive linemen, one of those selections, Brandon Shell. He went to the Bills, I think, Brandon Shell.
The big guy that stands out to me on that list is Malcolm Mitchell. Malcolm Mitchell is a guy that was a cornerback that converted to wide receiver at Georgia. Big-time player, a guy that really has some versatility. He is another one of those guys that can throw it to the mix.
All right, so, MJD, what do you think of this draft class?
It wasn't, I thought they could have did better in the second round.
So, is that
it's like a C+?
Oh, nice.
But I just think if you go C+, I just want to see what these guys do because they will play without Tom Brady. and when they play without Tom Brady, will this class be able to hold on that standard of what Bill Belichick expects? And I just don't know if they'll be able to do that.
Yeah, well, they always seem to have drafts like this, and then they're fine. So, I don't know. We'll see what happens.
Code
so, you
12.
look back at the AFC East classes. Who's your A- pick in the division, A+ pick?
My A+ pick in the division is Larry Tunsil.
Or A- if you want to give out A-.
As long as it's A, it doesn't matter. My mom would never get mad. As long as there's an A in front of it, we're good. I'm going to go with Larry Tunsil. Larry Tunsil is arguably the best player in the draft. You get him at 13 for the Miami Dolphins. Solves a huge need along the offensive line. You can put him at right tackle or guard as a rookie. Eventually, he'll make his way to left tackle. Franchise player, you have to like that pick.
Okay, so Tunsil. This is pretty easy.
Yeah,
right?
What else am I supposed to say? I feel like you drafted a guy at 13 that's going to play the next 20 years. I think if he's able to keep the off the field and worry about on the field, he'll play for 20 years. This young man, you watch the way he moves. He moves and he plays with an edge. You don't see that as much in college anymore. And he can do everything. I'm excited to see what he can do. I'm happy Miami pulled the trigger because a lot of people were scared of him.
Yeah, I agree. That's great for Miami. We'll see what happens with him. That's it for us, though. Thanks so much for watching. Make sure to check out the next Draft Grades Live presented by Bud Light. That's tomorrow at 5 p.m. Eastern when we grade the AFC North and South. For MJD and Bucky Brooks, I'm Colleen Wolfe. We'll see you soon.